Welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to talk about default values. Remember when we describe our pizza table, we saw that we have a default section and each column has its own default value. Right now, if you take a look, we can see that each column, like pizza name, has a default value of null. And as we know, null represents lack of any value. You might ask the question, so what if the default is null? In the previous lecture, when we tried to add data to our pizza2 table, we got error stating that the pizza name doesn't have a default value. To avoid that error in the future, we're going to learn how to add a default value to our columns. This is the syntax that we are going to use to create pizza3 with default values. As you can see, we are adding a default value to each of our columns. So for pizza, we're gonna have regular, for topping cheese, for the price 10. And after creating pizza3, when we check the describe, we can see that our default now have been changed. So if we try to add a new pizza to our pizza table without providing any information, this is what we will get. As you can see, even though we didn't provide any values, we still have our pizza added to our pizza table. And we can see that we have for pizza name regular, toppings cheese, and price 10. Let me show you one more example. As you can see, I have inserted new pizza, but I only provided the topping and the price. So for topping, we have tomato, mozzarella, and pepperoni. And the price we have raised to $14. And when we do the select pizza 3, we can see that we have the previous insert when we didn't provide any information. And over here, you can see that we have the second pizza with the name regular. So even though we didn't provide the pizza name in our insert, we had it set as a default regular. You can see how default can be helpful in actual database. Imagine you have to create a database for an app similar to Instagram or Twitter, and every time users create new post, we have to capture the date and the time of the post. By using default value, we can ensure that every time user create a new post, we can capture their exact date and time. One more example, imagine that you are creating a database for a store and our store have to have table of products, and in the products we have to have the product name, the price, and the quantity. And let's say you have created a brand new product. You know the price of that product, you know the name, but you don't know how many of them you're gonna have available in your store. And you just want to add it to your database so you can start creating the website page for that product. In that case, when we create our table of product, we want to make our quantity default value as a 0. So in the future, when we want to create a new product, we don't have to specify the exact quantity of the item. Okay, now we mostly understand what default value do and how it works. But you might have a question, why do we even need not null if we have default? We can just create a default value and even if we don't specify a value, it's not going to be null. But it's not a good idea to only use default value functionality, because we can do something like this. We can manually insert a null into our table. It's always preferred to use not null with default, because when we are creating a column with the default value, it means we're not expecting a null. And if we don't have not null in our column, then if we accidentally get a null value in our database, it might mess up our program. But don't get me wrong, having null allowed in your column, it's not a bad idea. You just have to know how to use the specific function in your favor. So here is a good example for allowing a null to your database is, imagine you're creating a database for university students and you want to collect their record. And in our record table, we are going to have home address. And it's a good idea to allow null in that column because not all students have home address. And also we can allow null into emergency contact column. In each of these cases, allowing null makes our database system more flexible and user-friendly. Okay, that will be it for this lecture. See you in the next one.